Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to One Piece, episode 983. So last time we met the Tobi Roppo, who are Kaido's top soldiers outside of like King and Queen and Jack, it seems. There was Ulti, who I had seen art of prior, and she is really fucking adorable. She's hilarious and adorable, and it's great. Diaz Drake, who we already knew worked for Kaido, but we didn't really know his, I guess, specific position. We have Page One, or as Ulti calls him, Pepe, who we had also seen before, fighting Sanji. But we didn't really get a lot of information on him. So now it seems like we're going to delve more into his character. And then we have a few new characters. And I can't remember all of their names. The only one otherwise I can remember the name of is Black Maria. But either way, their introduction was really, really interesting. And I'm definitely excited to see more of them going forward as the general, I guess, major enemies our heroes are going to have to face outside of like Kaido and Big Mom themselves. Then we also had the debut of the son of Kaido. So the character we had been strongly anticipating, even though I'm an anime only, I have been spoiled, unfortunately, on the son of Kaido. Not on all the details or anything, just on his existence, his appearance, his name, that kind of stuff. So I don't know like his personality or like what he does in the story or anything like that. I just know he kind of exists, basically. But I'm very, very hyped nonetheless and excited to see what he can do. And yeah, it just kind of really kicked things off even further than before. Like we had already like attacked the gate and everything, but now all of the ships are heading inward towards Onigashima, towards the main island, and at the same time, Luffy and the crew, who were about to toast, have decided to hold off for the meantime in order to have a full banquet once they win, which is a very Luffy and very Straw Hat thing to do. Like we've seen them do this multiple times in Skypiea, in Thriller Bark, and so on and so forth. They always got to have a big old banquet to celebrate the victory. And it was pointed out on social media that them like slamming down their glass, their mugs and everything, and all saying like one by one I'm in and everything was very reminiscent of in I don't know what episode it would have been. Probably I'd say maybe the 50s. But it was very reminiscent of when leaving the Grand Line to head to Reverse Mountain so they could get into or when leaving the East Blue so they could head to Reverse Mountain to get into the Grand Line. The East Blue group, the original 5, did their entire salute with the barrel, where they all affirmed their dreams and then smashed their feet down on the barrel, kind of christening their voyage into the Grand Line. And so it's been pointed out how similar the imagery is with this scene from last episode. And looking back on it, watching that scene again, whether in the original episode or the like episode of East Blue special, yeah, It's very similar. It's obviously not exactly the same. It's not going to be, but there is a notable similarity, especially not just with the visuals, but the tone of it, the general concept of it. Even though here it's not so much as all of the crew members affirming their goals, it's all of the crew members affirming a singular goal. And I think that's actually, in a ways, even more interesting because that first time when they were leaving the East Blue to head to the Grand Line, that's what they were talking about. They were christening their voyage by affirming all of their individual goals. For Sanji to find the All Blue, for Usopp to become a brave warrior of the sea, for Nami to chart the world, that kind of stuff. But here, their goal is one and the same. Not just because of the circumstances, but because honestly, as a crew, they've become more in tune with each other. Back in the East Blue, like even after Arlong and everything, when Nami truly joined the crew and everything, like they were still fairly new at this all, and they were still fairly new to each other. So their goals, like them focusing on their separate goals, made sense. Now, all this time later, they've become so used to each other. Even though Jinbei is just the newest member of the crew and has just recently joined, he's known them for a lot longer. He's known Luffy since Impel Down, and the rest of the crew he met in Fishman Island, I believe. So he's known them for quite a while, and at this point, he still feels like he's a natural part of the crew, like he belongs with everyone else. So it still feels natural, nonetheless, for him to have connected with them enough to feel like just fully 100% a part of the crew. Um, so yeah, I really like this parallel. It just really spoke to me, and I made like a another version of like this chart I saw someone post regarding the parallel. Because someone posted a parallel chart like only showing the original five from the current scene and showing their parallel back to the East Blue scene. But I made a chart like showing all of the crew. And instead of showing the East Blue scene, I instead chose to parallel it to kind of where each of them started. Or at the very least, where like they really like kind of came from in a way. And I like went through like each of them, like what they used to be and what they are now and stuff. Like for example, Robin, I put like from victim to irreplaceable archaeologist, noting how her victimhood was a massive part of her backstory and really shaped her adulthood leading into Eni's lobby. And how since then she has been shown that she's not just a victim anymore, that she's an irreplaceable member of this crew, that she is the archaeologist of the Straw Hat Pirates. And I did that with all of them. I talked, I like from where they came from to where they are now, just showing like this big, since the crew is all together now, like technically for the first time with the entire current crew, I wanted to kind of show like that parallel of how all of these characters started and where they and how far they've come. And yeah, they've all come such a long way. And they still hold a lot of the traits that they had when they were just starting out. Sure. But that's realistic. um no one's going to change like that drastically to where they're like that completely of a different person. Usopp is still going to be kind of scaredy, but just not as much. And so on and so forth. Chopper is still going to be very naive, just not as much. And they've gained new stuff for themselves, new traits and whatnot as well. But either way, I've talked definitely longer than needed. I don't know what's going to happen in this episode, but we are definitely getting into the meat of this invasion, this raid on Onigashima. And it's only going to get more insane from here. I don't know if we're going to keep up to any level the animation quality we had last episode. Like, I went back and watched that again and stuff, like especially the Queen dance scene, like when that first started, like the panning shot, like when it came outward over the crowd. God, that was so gorgeously animated. People have compared it to movie level animation, and yeah, it is. It is. And people are praising like the animator or animation director or whatnot for that episode, who's I guess new or something. And she's like really being praised for this. Like people are saying she could be the next big thing, and that's a big deal. That is a really big deal because honestly, last episode wasn't even that huge. Like, yeah, it introduced some great new characters. Yeah, it introduced a lot of stuff manga readers would have been waiting for, but the episode itself was not that huge. The events that happened were just still kind of build up. So to have that level of animation was exceptional, honestly, for an episode like that. And it only makes me wonder if they are going to continue that going forward into this raid. We'll have to see. I don't know what to expect, but let's find out. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, the raid on Onigashima has begun. And this episode, I'll be honest, didn't do much. Not much actually happened. It was actually very, very. I don't want to say it felt like filler, but it felt like it was really dragged to make it artificially longer just for the sake of doing so, because it didn't feel like it should have been. It feels like they're dragging this out. They're way in. The anime does this. There's been many points where the anime has done this in order to not catch up too quickly to the manga, and that's all well and good. But this one really did feel like it dragged a little bit. It just felt like most of what happened here was just dragged out content that really, a lot of it didn't feel like it needed to be there. A lot of it felt like it was just like elongating it just for the sake of, again, keeping the manga and anime separated a little more. I don't know how else to put it. But it wasn't bad. So our groups of raiders, I guess you could call them, arrive at Onigashima. We have the pirates, we have the samurai. All of these groups arrive, getting ready to enact their plan. And upon reaching there, Usopp takes out a few guards stationed there who are drinking, and everybody else gets onto the island. Everyone gets on. The samurai destroy their ships, pledging to not need to return to them, which kind of like, yeah, you get the idea that they plan to not turn back here, that they are taking this stand. So they do so. They destroy the ships, And then everybody crosses this bridge, at which point they all are put into outfits, thanks to Kinnamon's Devil Fruit ability. They're put into Animal Kingdom Pirates outfits to blend in so they can infiltrate a little easier, including the straw hats. As I had said in the reaction, I have seen Robins before, so I knew this kind of thing was coming. I just didn't know the context behind it at all. I knew the costume existed because I had seen fan art and stuff of it. And the coloration of it looks different than I've seen in all the fan art. Like the fan art, I think, has it almost completely black, but there's more color to it in here. So that's interesting. Um, but yeah, I definitely enjoy just the idea of them trying to infiltrate, because the Straw Hats aren't exactly a sneaky crew. Plus, they're so well known. It's like, how the fuck do you think you're gonna infiltrate this place? Like, you still look like you. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Um, and that's pretty much the episode. Like, there's some little things in it too, like, and not bad things, just small things that don't really affect the main story. The closest thing that could is the fact that we do see how much the kid pirates care for Killer, and how they're willing to laugh alongside him and kind of change their just overall, like, attitudes and everything, just to try and make him feel better about his situation with the smile and everything. And it's just like, that's really, really precious. And I kind of love it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I mean, it affects their crew dynamic, but I don't see it actually as a major part of this story or anything. And that's what this episode felt like. Like, outside of them being, like, getting their costumes and everything, which is obviously going to play into the infiltration, I feel like you could almost skip this episode and just not really miss much of anything. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, because we'll have to wait till we see the next episode to really know that for sure. But that's what this episode kind of feels like. And again, I want to specify, it wasn't bad by any means. It just didn't feel necessary. It felt like it was. I guess it would be considered filler. It feels like it was filler just to, well, fill time, just to pad it out and everything. It doesn't feel like it was all that necessary. It dragged a bit. Um, and it's wild though that this far into the arc, this is the first, like, episode of this arc that I've actually had a, like, real complaint with. That I've actually, on an episode basis, not liked that much as other episodes. But it's still great. It was still enjoyable. It was still fun. I still liked watching it. It was not as good as recent episodes have been, and it just felt like they're continuing to just really drag this out, and that's a little annoying. I get why they're doing it. I understand why they have to do it, but it's still a little annoying in practice. Um, but tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of One Piece, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.